Greetings, geeks, and welcome to a very unique haul video. That's right. We are talking with our buddy Mike Schwartz, who just got back from a comic convention this weekend. Plenty of stories to tell, lots of goodies to share. So, Mike, tell us all about it. How many times have you gone to this con over the years, and what was special about this time around?
So Fan Expo is I think it's like a company that runs these conventions, right? Do you have a Fan Expo in your area,
I've
Kevin?
heard of it. Oh, definitely. In my area in Montana, we have rodeo. That's all we
Rodeo.
have. We have gun shows and rodeo.
So you don't have any comic conventions?
Nothing.
What? Oh my God.
We have
Well,
one
okay.
comic book store only. I mean, it tells you where the market is.
So Fan Expo is normally in August, like the big one, the 4-day one. And I've been going to that since I was like really, really young. Like I can't even remember, but it wasn't called Fan Expo. So at some point it became Fan Expo. And I don't remember when or how. I just know I always went in August. That was the big trip with my dad. And then at some point, I remember there was a con in March in Toronto. It was like Toronto Comic Con, it was called. And Fan Expo has since taken over, but I haven't been to this March one in years. Back when I worked for Fox Searchlight Pictures, I would sometimes help out at the 20th Century Fox booth. I remember when Fantastic Four was coming out, the movie, the first movie, I think, or second movie, one of them. And I was helping run the booth. Like we were handing out stuff for whatever Fox Searchlight movies we had coming out, like 28 weeks later, I think. So I haven't really been to this one, but I don't know. It wasn't really a Comic Con, Adam. I felt like it was like a lot of other stuff, and there's less and less comic book booths every year, and I know the vendors have to keep raising their prices to pay for their booths. They just can't afford it anymore. So they're pricing out the comic vendors. It's really weird.
That is a bummer. Yeah, I mean, everybody's trying to follow, the San Diego Comic Con model. It's the biggest thing in the world, right? And so
Yeah.
everybody's like more and more celebrities, more and more, it's like it's entertainment, not just, you geeks with your comic books. That's not what
And
this is about anymore.
and I know Saturday was sold out, so they're still doing well. Like the con itself is doing well. It just wasn't a ton of comic book stuff. Like there was comic book artists and stuff, it wasn't. Artist Alley was packed. I couldn't even walk through the aisles of Artist Alley, so that's good. The coolest thing was they had a an X-Men animated series panel
Ooh.
with every single voice actor, and I think I sent you a picture. Because most of the voice actors, if not all of them, live in Toronto or in Ontario, Canada. So that was wild to see them all in person in one spot, right? And some of them you could hear their character. Others, I was like, wait, you play Nightcrawler? Please do the voice. But the panel was great. It was fantastic, but they didn't do the voices. And I was like, it would have been so great if the host had like asked them all, just do the voice. Come on, do a voice.
That's how they get paid, though. They're not doing it for free, baby.
Oh man, but Cal Dodd, who plays Wolverine, he was there and he's pretty funny. He would sometimes break out in the voice, and the woman that plays Rogue, her name escapes me right now. She sounds like Rogue just without the accent, so that was great too. But here's a little funny story about Cal. Is he in animation you do a scratch track before you record the actual voices, and we didn't know how big the movie The Nut Job was going to be when I first started working on it. I was a PM on it, and we really had no clue. And we hired all these pretty big Canadian talent to do voices, and one of them was Cal Dodd, who played. If you've ever seen anyone has seen the movie, there's these human characters that are like mafia gangster types, and the lead guy was played by Cal, but I was in charge of delivering all the scripts because the producers were like, this is a very important script. We can't let it get out. You need to hand deliver them. So I drove all around Toronto hand delivering it, and I delivered it to Cal Dodd's house. And he brought me in for iced tea. And he had like on the wall cells from it. His house was beautiful. It's like a little X-Men mansion. It's like stone and
That's awesome.
big. Yeah, it was incredible. And when my daughter was really young and he didn't have a lineup at his table at the time, I was able to bring my daughter up to him and say, "Hey, I don't know if you remember, but you and when I was working on that movie, you invited me into your house. He was so nice." But I think he was a little ticked because they replaced him with the villain from Avatar. Stephen, that's his name. Stephen Lang. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little story for you. If you've come here for comics, you can hopefully you just fast forward through all
I know,
these.
but we're all, I mean, we're anticipating, right, is of this moment, X-Men 97 coming out. So
Yes.
definitely news we want to hear. But plus you took your kids with you also, and this was their
Yeah.
first convention, right?
So the Friday was my day. I went and I was kind of doing a little networking, meeting some people. And then it was also comic book shopping, but I found it really hard to find comic books, at least for cheap. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm 50 cent comic collector. I don't like to go above the dollar mark, Adam, but I did go to the $2 mark. I have some $2 comics and four $5 comics.
Oh, big
I went
spender.
big spender. Yeah, yeah, I went crazy. And then you're right. On the Saturday, I went with my kids. So, yeah.
Okay, well let's see what you got on Friday then.
Okay.
Let's see the
I'm
stack.
gonna start on the Thursday. I went to my local pawn shop because he got a bunch of boxes in. I got just some random stuff. I won't really show it, but this is the most significant because I think it's like an authority key. I need to check it out. Warren Ellis jumps on the title, I think, at this point. I don't know. I know nothing about authority, and I figured this would be a good starting
Well,
point.
on the podcast, we're right in that pocket where it was coming out. So we're going to learn all about the authority soon enough. Because, yeah, I'm totally at a loss as well.
Okay, so I'll jump into this and see what's happening, and maybe it'll make sense for that. I don't know. Okay. Oh, really quick. I met two of my favorite DC artists right now. These are two books I have on my pull list that I highly recommend. This one by Jeremy Adams. So I got to meet him and he signed that one. And this Alan Scott series by Tim Sheridan is fantastic, and the art is great in both. So I got to meet both of those guys, and they were super nice. So if you're ever at a con and those guys are there, definitely go meet them. They're the nicest, sweetest guys you could ever meet. Okay, now to the comics. I feel like some of these might be boring, but we'll do a quick look. I picked up some Astonishing X-Men.
Okay.
So First Armor, I don't know if you know her,
Nope.
but I feel like I'm really into her because I have an armored character.
Yeah.
Um, this weird third printing of this book,
Black and white cover. Yeah.
black and white cover. First cover appearance of Ratcatcher. I couldn't resist, Adam.
I just read that story for the first time
Did
recently.
you really?
That's an
Okay. I
interesting one.
I now have the first appearance and I now I can jump in. Here's another authority one. So this is I think the first time Superman meets the authority,
Oh, interesting.
which is
Reborn.
significant for the upcoming movie because the authority's in it.
Okay.
So that's why I grabbed that. A little Neil Gaiman Eternals. I was missing issue 1, so now I have the whole set. Now I can read it. There was like a brief moment where this guy was going to become get his own movie, I think. Uh, did you hear about this, Adam?
What's
In the
his name?
Sonyverse? I don't even know. L something. I have no idea. But I saw
Tarantula?
the
Like, is that a revamped tarantula? Like, what are we talking?
I could look it up. I could look it
Yeah.
up. But he's like a wrestler, he's like a El Maria. What do you call those guys?
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's okay. A luchador.
Luchador.
I
Thank
did
you.
hear something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not happening anymore, but I was curious enough to grab them. Uh, a Christmas comic. I always got to grab the Christmas comics. Uh, these are not that exciting. So this is one I'd been missing in my run of new X-Men books,
Hmm.
and I didn't know why it was so hard to find, but it's the first appearance of Kid Omega. I've discovered. Again, I'm not. I'm just slowly reading the series. I did not like the series when it came out. Did you read any of it, Adam, in the
Oh,
early
never.
2000s?
No, I never even got close to it. But I do. Kid Omega. I believe I remember seeing some reported wizard something weird where he was like he kind of manipulates everybody, right? Like he has some sort of power where he could like influence people. But I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering, but that's what I recall.
So I did not. I can't wait till we get to it on the podcast because I don't like. I didn't at the time like Frank Quitely's art for some reason. It as a as a young 20 something, it kind of threw me off. Like I was like, this isn't comic book art. I love it now, and the story is amazing. So I'm like slowly trying to get everyone. I know I don't think Frank's on it by this point, yeah. But it's a Grant Morrison run. It's great. I don't know. These looked weird, so I grabbed them. I think that's the video game Spider-Man. I don't know, Adam. I know you don't collect new.
I remember that one with all the Spider-Man on the cover though, passing that up at my local
Yeah,
shop. Yeah, I was just like, well, there's a lot of Spider
there's more
people.
Spider-Mans. Yeah. I'm always grabbing these. Anytime I see Spider Gwen with Venom, what is her name? Venom. So these are great covers, though. Like I think Gwenum is a cool character. I'm sure they'll be worth millions soon. This one I had to grab because I have the whole series, but I'm missing some of the horror variants. This is,
That's
of
fun.
course, the Evil Dead variant.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before, and I'd never heard of the series, but that's just fun.
It's so good. It's only 5 issues, Adam. You can do it. So this was like a really, I think it was a high ratio variant of some kind and was super expensive when it came out. And this was in a $2 bin.
Wow.
It's beautiful cover.
I was
Can
trying to
you,
make sense of it because there's so much going on. Okay, now I see Silver Surfer and the reflection of the flame, and I'm like, okay, now if my eyes are adjusting.
yeah, it's just gorgeous. And I don't know why it was shoved in a $2 bin. See, this is weird, is I could not find any deals, but this one booth had everything, $2. And okay, so now we're into the $5. This is one I really liked the Ms. Marvel show, and my kids really liked it.
Mhm. Me too.
And this is a significant cover because they they do this image in the series, and I believe this is like the origin of her costume or something. So this
Mhm.
was one I was missing. This was the first appearance of Deathbird. I've always been fascinated by this character. She pops up from time to time.
Does she evolve into a different character or no? She's always Deathbird.
I again don't know. I'll have to find out, Adam. Now I can
I
follow
feel like
along.
there's like a lot of these like female villains of the 70s and 80s, and then like they get changed like in the 2000s, like they kind of get a slightly new
Yeah,
persona or something. Like Screaming Mimi, then is in the Thunderbolts, but now she's Songbird or whatever, and stuff like that.
that's true. I'm looking her up. It looks like there's nothing else. She's the former wife of Vulcan and former empress of the Shi'ar Empire.
Okay, so very X-Men connected. There we
Yeah, and clearly connected to Miss Marvel. Okay, now these are the two big ones, and I'm still like, why were these in $5 bins? Like, they don't make any sense. But the first issue of the Joker, like
Oh, I've always
classic.
been curious about that series where he gets his own book and is he an anti-hero? That's what I want to know. Like, where does he
I-
fall?
So in the new Joker series they released, I don't know, a year ago, it's actually a Jim Gordon book.
Oh,
It's the Joker, but it's clearly Jim Gordon's book. And that's why I'm like really curious to know what this is. But
that's
it's
neat
classic.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. This is the big $5 one. And it's not in great condition. That's probably why they dumped it in there. But it's Adventure into Fear number 19 with Man Thing, and it's the first appearance of Howard the Duck. As a kid, I was a huge Howard the Duck fan. Huge. Did you like the movie
Oh
as a
yeah.
kid?
Yeah. I as a kid it confused me. And then I started going to midnight screenings of the movie. I actually got my
Oh,
VHS signed by Ed Gale, who was in the costume.
that's
Like, so yeah.
amazing. Do you have that handy? You should show that.
Yeah, it's around here somewhere.
It's around there. Okay. um, the so I've always love that movie. As a kid, I was confused too, but I also really liked it. I never read the comic books, but I'm fascinated by him now. Um, and so this is one I'd kind of like, been after for a while. It's actually in pretty good condition. Um,
So where does
considering.
he appear in
I'm
the
gonna show
story?
you now. Are
Yeah,
you ready?
yeah,
Because I immediately flipped to it. I had to find out. I haven't read the book yet, but it's really weird looking. Like it's like kind of sword and sorcery. Like Man Thing appears to be on some weird dimension where there's tanks. There's I think it's Thongor. Is that his name that's in here with him? The weird characters. So him and I want to call him
Thongor.
Thongor. They're like on a quest or something
I mean, it sounds like an
together.
evil Masters of the Universe character, the Master of Thongs.
No, he's
Okay.
good. He looks good. Yeah, yeah. So they're on some adventure, it looks like. And then it's really weird because they end up in a bedroom. I don't know. I have to read it. We're
Yeah.
going there's going to be some expert watching this right now being like I cannot believe these two. And in the comments they're going to be like you idiots, you morons. Um anyways, they're in a swamp and suddenly out of nowhere we have him appear. There he is, Howard the Duck.
Wow. Now, did Steve Gerber write this story? Is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay?
it is. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that would make sense. He's like, let me
That's
plant the seed here.
yeah. So Steve Gerber is the writer, and yeah, he talks like Howard the Duck. He clearly had an idea of what he was going to do with him
Well,
at this
there's
point.
one for you to keep an eye out for because Howard the Duck, his series featured, like I picked up a few issues over the years, but I've never found the one I need, which is the first appearance of Kiss in a
Are
Marvel
you
comic book.
serious? You
Because they
haven't
got their
found
own
that?
Marvel super special, but it was in an issue of Howard the Duck. He's like conjuring like these spirits, and all of a sudden, like the spirits of Kiss come out, and they're like, oh, like it's weird. But it was just like right before the super special was going to come out, and it's in it
Okay,
or the duck somewhere. So
let me just see this. Oh,
see if you can
Adam,
find it.
Adam, you're talking about the cameo
Yeah, it's
issue
a
12.
cameo. It's a Kiss cameo in Howard the Duck, but it's their first
I
official appearance. You know.
I saw it. I saw it in I think a $3 bin, not in the best condition, but and I should have grabbed it for you. Now I have a mission to
Now
get
you know.
Adam. Okay, so the big purchase of the weekend, besides obviously first, was there was a booth. I maybe you can include a picture in this video. I don't know if you can, where they were selling a ton of Liefeld related X Force Toy Biz figures, all for ranging like they had Mr. Sinister for like 20. Any X-Men character was like 20, but anybody created by Liefeld or designed by Liefeld was $5 and under.
Yeah, you sent me a picture, and I was like, these are like bargain bin prices. Like, what is going on? Is this KB Toys brought back to life? Like, what is going on?
Yes.
$5, you know?
If I had the room in my house right now, like I have stacks of Spider-Man the Animated Series figures. We'll have to do a video on sometimes where we show carded figures at them. If I didn't have all those and I had the room, I would have bought all of them. But there was one in particular I really wanted, and that was Sunspot. He was $3.
And it's a beautiful card. The bubble looks great. Like, it's
It's
fantastic
perfect.
condition.
Well, what's funny is I told you. Remember, I said to you, if it sells out, it's not meant to be. I'll get Shatterstar. It sold, and then I asked him. I was like, "Do you have any more Sunspots?" He's like, "Oh, I have a whole box of them." So we went and I grabbed like the nicest one. It's like perfect.
It is. That's great.
Look at that, and it is really really nice. So I think it is. It must be the Canadian version though. It's
Oh,
all there's all this French all over it.
yeah. That's cool. Man, that's wild. And it's so funny because like I collected a lot of X-Men figures back in the 90s, but I only bought the X-Men figures. I didn't
Yes.
buy the X-Force figures. My friend was all into Liefeld and he bought all the X-Force figures. So I go to his house and he had, that his whole collection, but it was only X-Force. And I was, he's like, I got Richter, I got Shatterstar, I
Right?
got, you know,
Oh, he
yeah.
had a lot of Richter. He had a lot of Richter, Adam. Um, See, I collected X-Men like you, but I would get gifted the X-Force figures. So I have, like Warpath, which I don't consider an X-Force figure, but he's listed.
Well, but it was because his brother, like there was what's
Yeah.
the guy who's in Giant Size X-Men #1? What's his name? Because he gets killed, and then Warpath is his brother, right? So Warpath
Yes.
was on X-Force.
Yeah. You're right. So I do have random ones, including random. That I don't
Yeah, the
know.
gun hand thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
I
so
I
funny.
have Ahab. Who wants Ahab? I remember getting that as a present, being like, oh, damn it, who's this guy?
Yeah, that there were so many. I mean, they just looked at Liefeld's sketchbook. He's talked about this on the Observations podcast. Before the comics even coming out, they're going through all his designs. They're like, "Yep, that's a toy. That's a toy. That's a toy," and he's
Yeah,
making that money.
he did well. You know what? I liked what Liefeld was doing at the time. I just didn't know the characters. I think if they were in the animated series, I would have been all into it. And I think he's going to be in the animated series.
I would imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, that's tomorrow, so we'll find out.
it's cool.
Anyways, that's my haul from the convention, and overall, it's pretty good. I mostly had a good time just taking my kids around. That was the best part.
So, other than the X-Men panel, did you like walk by any booths where there were like celebrities or artists? We were kind of like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm not gonna wait in line, but that's cool if they're here," or not really?
Um, I honestly thought the guests for like the celebrities were not the best this year. The best part of it was all the X-Men people, and they took up almost the entire celebrity section.
Wow,
They had, uh, I think Tom Cavanagh's his name from the Flash series. There's a few people here, TV people. I noticed it was all Toronto-based people. Like they had What We Do in the Shadows actors, but they're shooting right now, or they're about to shoot in a bit. So it was. I think it's not a very big con. It is for, I guess, the time of year. The biggest is in August, but probably why they don't have the budget. But man, it was busy.
so what do you think? Next year is Armored gonna have a booth at Fan Expo?
Here's the funny thing is I was supposed to I requested a booth at the Toronto Comic Con thinking I'd have printed copies, but we've had some printing issues. They're shipping. Let me say this for anyone that cares: Armored books are shipping from the printer at the end of this week, so that's the good news. Um, no idea when they'll arrive at the distributor and at Clover. There's a lot of work to be done once it arrives there. But I was supposed to have a booth, and it's really good they didn't accept me. I got rejected, Adam. I got rejected.
Oh,
But thank God I did because I did not have anything to sell or sign or nothing. But next
sure.
year, I think you'll see me next year.
All right.
Uh, and anyone watching that lives in LA, I'm going to be at WonderCon walking around. And if you bump into me, I'm going to have Armored stickers on hand. And Adam, I even have some Wizard stickers that you gave me that I can hand out.
That's right. We got these stickers and cards, so you can look
Yeah.
out for Mike. He will be there at the show, WonderCon in LA. We hope that you will say hello to him, and hey, you might even ask him like, "Hey, could you send me an advanced copy of Armored?" He'll hook you up, man. So,
Definitely, definitely a PDF. Anyone
yeah, yeah,
can. If you
PDF.
bump
That's what
into
I
me,
mean. Yeah,
you'll get a PDF.
yeah. But thanks for checking out this haul video, Mike. Thanks for sharing all your awesome finds. I will say there's some stuff on eBay that I'm keeping an eye on right now. Some Wizard collectibles, a page from a half issue that went up, some original art, an embroidered wizard hat. We already have a couple, in the archives, but this is a color we don't have. Maybe we'll spring for it. Time will tell. But yeah, just stay subscribed here to Wizards, the podcast guide to comics on YouTube. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. If you haven't checked out our comic card crazy, we're talking about a lot of image guys. We went through a whole like 7, 8. We have a new one coming out. There's like 8 episodes where we're just opening up trading cards from Image that, the Image founders launch titles inspired. So lots of fun stuff here and more to come. But hey, until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.